Hey, guys. So today we are talking all about 4 secret manifestation blocks, which might be getting in the way for you and jamming up the works of creating what it is that you want to create in your life, in your business. Because here's the thing. We all know some of the core components of law of attraction and manifestation. We've all done a vision board. We've all done affirmations. We've all done, write down what you really want. And then that shit just doesn't happen. So why doesn't that shit happen if we are following all the things that googly Mr. Google says that we should do? Why aren't those things happening if we are, doing the supposed-tos? Well, here's the thing. There are a number of blocks that can get in the way of your manifestation. They're limiting beliefs. I almost like to think of these, for some reason, specifically manifestation blocks. I like to think of them as like blockers, like in the national football, in American football, like the linebackers who are like, bleh, bleh, and like trying to stop your forward momentum. That's the way I see it in my head, is I see these manifestation blocks that way. And so the reason these are so sticky and end up causing all of these problems when it comes to what it is that we're trying to manifest in our life is these things end up throwing us into stress. Now, you guys know I like to talk a lot about the stress response and about our response to traumas and all of these things because it's essential, and most people aren't talking about this stuff. When you step into a stress response, what happens is your subconscious mind is going to go, we need to keep her safe from this. So when we go into a natural stress response, what happens is we bounce back and we're resilient. We return to our baseline in about 10 minutes. We're driving in traffic. We're stressed out. Oh, you jerk. Why'd you cut me off? And then 10 minutes later, we're like, grooving to some Billy Joel on the radio, singing out loud, whatever. And everything's copacetic and everything's cool again. The problem is we get into a state of chronic stress. We get into a state of a dysregulated nervous system where we can't return to baseline again. And when we don't return to baseline, that subconscious mind outside of our awareness is telling us this thing isn't safe and it's going to hold us back from whatever it is that we are finding stressful. If our manifestations feel stressful, things like bigger business and a bigger impact, but I'm terrified people are going to hate me. Or I want to open up that beautiful divine channel within me, but I think people are going to think I'm weird. Or like partner and I can't wait to get married, but I don't want to do all the dishes, whatever it might be. If there's any part of us that feels stressed out about it and chronically plays out some of these blockers that I'm about to talk about, we'll get stuck and we won't be able to manifest what it is we truly want. So these blocks end up removing us from that sense of overflow, that sense of abundance that exists within us, that sense of delight and pleasure and play that's inherent and absolutely necessary to make your manifestations your reality. They're also removing you from that divine channel within you that knows all the answers, that knows all the hows, that knows all the pathways forward, because that stress response we just talked about disconnects you. It disconnects you from creativity and intuition, but it also disconnects you from connection. And that's connection to other people, but it's also connection to to all that is. And so this is why these manifestation blockers end up keeping you stuck. So what are these manifestation blocks? What are these manifestation blockers? And what do we do about it? First one, my peeps, is impatience. Impatience is probably one of the biggest one. Impatience about when it's going to get there. Impatience about how it's going to get there. Impatience about why isn't it there yet. Feeling as though you have to, it's not here yet, I got to go do something about it. Rather than feeling as though you can sit back and receive. This is a feeling of anxiety and anxious attachment, and I have to, and it should be, instead of the, got this. It's all cool. Everything's happening for me. Everything's happening in perfect timing. I can trust that. And then this dysregulates your nervous system because it's all anxious, worried energy. The example that I love when it comes to impatience and manifestation is getting a delivery from Amazon. You do not go to Amazon click the buy button, and then pace back and forth in front of the window going, where's the Amazon truck? Where's the Amazon truck? Is the Amazon truck coming? I don't know if my Amazon truck's coming. I better go order it again. Because I don't know where my package is. No, you order the package and then you go, I don't know, walk the dog or something and go to sleep because it's going to come tomorrow, and you just know it's going to be there. You just know. You don't have that impatience. And yet we have a totally different relationship with our manifestations and what it is we're trying to bring into our life. So when we can approach it from that Amazon package delivery vibration, things shift dramatically. So the second manifestation block that I want to talk to you about is doubt. Doubt is the big furry hairy monster in the room that ends up taking us down, in like a Hulk Hogan headlock down to the floor. And we're like, this is uncomfortable. This is a big one when we wonder about the how. I don't feel like I can trust that channel within me. I don't feel like I can trust these weird nudges that I'm getting. I am going to overthink this. I am going to filter this. Even though I've got this feeling in my gut that this is the path, I'm going to filter it through all of the logical filters instead that end up pulling it apart and end up making it evaporate into nothing. I'm going to perpetually spin in the yeah, buts. Yeah, but. One of my favorite sayings that I've been talking about in my programs recently, or you guys know, is that when we say but, it reveals a limiting belief. It reveals a limiting belief on the other side of a but, because a but negates the first part of a sentence. So if I'm saying I'm going to manifest $1 million, but not for 5 years, what we're saying is I have doubt that I'm going to manifest that $1 million. And so listen to your buts. That's funny. That's a quotable, right? Listen to your butt, but listen to your butts and tune in to what they're actually signaling you in terms of where your limiting beliefs lie. It also can be, when it comes to doubt, is a lot of us get wired for things to be going wrong in our life. A lot of us are wired to expect the train to go off the tracks, for things to go awry, for things to not be trustable. And a lot of that can go back to chronic stress, and it can go back to trauma, and it can go back to old experiences, ancestral wounds, things where we have experiences where we weren't able to trust somebody, where we've had experiences where maybe we started to not trust ourselves. And so we need to really return home to ourselves and to our self-trust and to our self-love and to this feeling that we're safe and we're home inside of ourselves, and that we don't have to let our prior experiences or other people dictate how we feel and what's possible for us. So the next manifestation block I want to talk to you about are inner limits. Inner limits. These are basically, here's a great example. These are basically limits on what we think is possible for us. There's this story about fleas. Fleas can apparently jump like 3 feet in the air. They're big jumpers, right? They're doing the long jump. Anyway, fleas can jump 3 feet in the air. But if you take a flea and you put it in a jar, let's say only just a foot, that flea will jump and hit its head on the cap of that jar over and over and over again. It'll know that it's contained and that it's not jumping to its potential, but it'll still just jump that high because that's the container it's in. Now that flea's child, whatever, will jump only a foot because that's what it thinks is possible for it based upon its ancestral DNA history that it has from what its parent learned about what's possible and how high it can jump. So the point here is that we learn our inner limits based upon our experiences, based upon what we see going on around us, based upon the containers we're in, like the schools we went to, or the family we were in, or the jobs that we've been in, or what we've been told by other people. And we learn our inner limits through what our parents experienced and what our ancestors experienced. And we have to really make a point of breaking free of those inner limits so that we're no longer limited by them, so that we're no longer wondering if we're worthy of all of these divine, beautiful things, so that we're no longer flying on and piling on self-criticism and self-judgment that ends up pulling us back into those old stories, playing other people's voices in our heads who aren't our voices, but who we somehow have internalized. To stop telling ourselves that something's wrong with us, and to telling ourselves that we need to heal first or grow more, develop more before we're worthy of what it is that we desire, and realize that those are just limits that we're putting on ourselves for why we don't get to have it now and why we're not deserving of it now. Now, the last one I want to talk to you guys about here is having a fucked up relationship with the concept of ease. I know I said that very strongly, but y'all need to understand how important this is. We as a culture have a messed up relationship with the concept of ease. We think ease means sleazy. We think ease means lazy. We think ease means shortcuts. We think ease means you're doing something wrong. If we believe any of those things, guess what? Nothing's ever going to come easy to you. Nothing will ever come easily to you. Everything's always going to be an uphill battle, and everything's always going to be hard. And so if you can do one thing at the end of the day, it's dismantle that limiting belief, because if you do, that will open up the field of manifestation, because manifestation should feel easy. It should feel like things are just flowing, right? When we open up to that channel within us and everything is just flowing and juicy and amazing, that's the way it should feel. The problem is, if we have a fucked up relationship with ease, we will always feel as though we need to work hard to earn it. We will always feel as though we have to push harder. We have to force it. And we will constantly convince ourselves that if we haven't done all that hard work for it, that somehow either we don't deserve it or somehow it's not that valuable. So when you take all of these things together, you put them in a big bucket, you realize perhaps how manifestation has been challenging for you and why manifestation may have felt challenging for you. Because all of these things have just really removed you from feeling safe with the things you're manifesting, from feeling that sense of delight and pleasure, from feeling that innate sense of abundance and connecting with that channel within you. And they remove you from that just openness and willingness to receive more, and it being just a part of who you are. And that, my friends, is the truth of the matter.